Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. You start hearing buzz that Silas Demary Jr., guard from Georgia, was going to commit to UConn. Crystal ball from Travis Branham, crystal ball from On3. I want to say it was maybe Joe Tipton, whatever. Maybe it was Joe Tipton, maybe it was Pete Nakos, whatever. But talking to my UConn people, it felt like it was coming. I was actually going to sneak away during media availability to pre-record a segment about Silas Demary committing. Didn't get to do it. He commits during media availability. So let's go ahead and talk about it now, because I will tell you this. Silas Demary, I believe, may have been the best lead guard available in the country. Commits to UConn. Huge commitment at a position of need, and we got to talk about this kid, okay? So first of all, and I mentioned this the other day because we talked about him, I think, when Pope went to visit him, that, Kentucky had an in-home visit with him. I said with Georgia, it was so interesting because Georgia, you kind of realize early, oh, they might be better than you think. So you turn them on. And they have Asa Newell, who I don't know if he's even declared yet, but he's going to be a first-round pick. I really actually liked him a lot. And you're tuning in thinking you're going to talk about Asa Newell, whatever. And then you see the Silas Demary kid. You're like, who is this kid? 6'5", gets to the rim, finishes at the rim, good three-point shooter. He kind of had a little bit of everything. And so you never want to speculate or project who's going to enter the portal, especially, by the way, at an SEC school. It's not like Georgia can't afford to keep him. But when he entered the portal, I sat there and said, that kid is one of the best players in the portal. And I think it was reflected with who recruited him. I mentioned it a minute ago, but Kentucky had an in-home visit with him over the weekend. I bring it up because North Carolina, NC State, Will Wade, remember now, is at NC State, desperately wanted this kid. And so over the course of the last couple of days, he visits St. John's. He visits UConn on Tuesday. But as I said, Carolina wanted him. Kentucky wanted him. St. John's wanted him. I know BYU wanted him badly. But instead, the UConn Huskies get him. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, what a commitment it is for them. First of all, like I said, 6'5" guard. I mean, there just aren't a lot of guys like this in college basketball. 6'5", can get to the rim, can finish at the rim. Whatever, great three-point shooter. There's a reason everybody wanted him. By the way, should mention, make sure you're following our CBB Transfers Twitter and Instagram page. Also, Torres on UConn. Also, if you're a Husky fan, remember, SeatGeek.com, promo code Torres. If you're going to the Final Four, we got the women's Final Four in Tampa. If you're a UConn fan watching this, you're going. Get $20 off your first purchase. Use SeatGeek.com, promo code Torres. So, UConn ladies are playing well. The UConn men get Silas Demary. And what I would say is, first of all, I thought he was the best lead guard in the portal. Again, guys are coming off the board so fast. Donovan Dent's probably a little bit more accomplished. Silas Demary's a little bit of a different player. But what stands out to me specifically about him and specifically about UConn is pretty straightforward. This is the guy that UConn desperately needed, okay? After the season ended, I did a segment on the Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel, and really it was on the podcast when they lost to Florida in the NCAA tournament. And I did a segment I did a tweet about what is the biggest need in the portal. And I had a lot of responses, probably 50+ responses. And the number one response I got was, Torres, we need a big guy, we need a big guard. We need our next Tristan Newton. Tristan Newton, for people who forget, was the Final Four most outstanding player a year ago, 2-time starter on a national championship team in 2023 and 2024, second-round pick of the Indiana Pacers, but 6'5", could get to his spots. By the way, people don't know this. He set the record for triple-doubles at UConn. You know how good you have to be to set the record for triple-doubles at UConn? And so UConn needed that guy in this portal cycle because if you watched them this year, I thought that they were actually in pretty good shape in a lot of places. Solo ball at the 2. I know Alex Caravan was up and down, but we know what he provided, 6'9", 6'10" on the wing. Liam McNeely, this past year, what he provided on the wing. Terrace Reed and Samson Johnson weren't always perfect, but they were good. The one thing you didn't have was that big guard that could just beat teams up. You had Hassan Diarra, who I love to death. I would never say a bad thing about Hassan Diarra, but he's 6 foot tall. He's playing on one knee. His knee's busted up. He's got tendonitis. And then Aiden Mahaney. It's not a knock. He did the best that he could, but he's a 6'1", 6'2" guy. Can't beat people off the dribble. He's a spot up shooter, very limited in what he could do. And so I only bring it up. It was so obvious that I remember tweeting it during Maui. Remember when they went 0-3 in Maui? I was tweeting, UConn needs that big guard, and they get him with Silas Demary. And so now it's going to be fascinating to see what they do the rest of this portal cycle, because they really actually don't need that much. I know it was a disappointing year, but based on what's coming in the freshman class, what's coming back, I don't think UConn's that far off from actually being really good next year. Put the ball in Silas Demary's hands, let him make plays, but think about who's going to be around him. Solo Ball, Tuesday night, announces he's coming back. I almost wonder if they push back Silas Demary to give Solo Ball kind of that window where we can all celebrate him coming back. And so now you get Silas Demary as the dead period starts. I think we talked about it to lead the show, but remember, with the Final Four starting, it's a dead period in recruiting. No visits for kids. Coaches aren't supposed to contact. I'm sure some of them are going to be, but no portal recruiting for the next 4, 5, 6 days while we play this Final Four. And criticize the NCAA for whatever, but good for them. Focus on the games. So I only bring it up because now UConn has some real momentum going into this dead period. You have Solo Ball announces he's coming back. Jalen Stewart last weekend announces he's coming back. Every UConn fan knows we're all fans of Jalen Stewart. We've seen him do stuff. We believe, I think most of UConn Nation believes, this kid has a chance to truly be a difference maker as he evolves in that program. Terrace Reed, that's the big one. By the way, I should mention before we get to Terrace Reed, the 4-man freshman class could be 4 contributors, 3 McDonald's All-Americans. Braylon Mullins, one of the best pure scorers in this class from Indiana, part of that team. You also have Eric Ryby, big man. You have Darius Adams, who I think is a year away from taking over the mantle of Silas Demary. If Silas Demary plays well, I don't know that he's an NBA guy just yet, but you have that next big guard in the wings, okay? And so I just bring it up because UConn, in my opinion, is not that far off. The big thing now, you got to get Terrace Reed back. There's been rumors for weeks that he would consider entering the portal. My buddy Mark Zanetto, you all know Mark, Big East Energy, does an unbelievable job covering UConn. I've actually talked to Mark a couple times, but I haven't seen his updates. But I think he thought early on that Terrace Reed would enter the portal. As of right now, we're recording here at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. Terrace Reed has not entered the portal. So I just bring it up to very simply say, I think you get Terrace Reed back, top 10 team again, and they're right there with St. John's as the best team in the Big East. I would probably give the edge to them over St. John's, depending on what happens these next few weeks. But I like this fit. And it's not just that he's a good player. He is the exact player that you need. By the way, on our Torahs on UConn page, I put out the tweet. A lot of people from the UConn community shared it, liked it. I think everybody realized just how important this kid was for the Huskies.